There's going to be times this year when your teacher asks you to use Google Docs, either to create a new Google Doc or document, or to work in a Google Doc or document that they have created for you. So we wanted to show you here how to start with a new blank Google Docs from your drive. And what we did here is made a folder like you will do in your class. So when your teacher asks you to make something new that they want you to share with them, what you're going to want to do is find that folder from those instructions that we already shared with you, double click it, and make the new document right here in the folder. That way it ensures that you will have already shared it with your teacher so they can see it. Okay, so to start a new Google Docs, you're going to click up here on the new button and you're going to choose Google Docs. This opens up a new tab that is called Untitled Document - Google Docs. You can see that your Google Drive is still open here on the other tab. That's fine, that's what it's supposed to look like, and the new document always opens up in a new tab. As soon as we start a new document, we want to give it a name. So right here where it says Untitled Document, we're going to click and we're going to give it the name that our teacher tells us to. So this example is going to be called Example Document. And we're going to go through some basics about what you need to know about Google Docs. So the title is here. If you mistakenly titled it and you need to rename it, you just click back in the box anytime and you can rename it. If you by accident did not put it in the correct folder, you can use the folder icon up at the top to navigate in your drive where it's supposed to go. The next row down is called the menu bar. So all of these words up here, file, edit, view, insert, format, tools, add-ons, and help, all are menus. What makes them a menu is when you click on them, you get other options. The next bar down is the buttons. So all across here, horizontally, are all the buttons available to you in Google Docs. When you hover your mouse over a button, it tells you what it does. This one is very important. We use this button all the time, the undo button. The shortcut on a Mac is Command Z. The shortcut on the Chromebook is Control Z. I'm going to start over here with the font. The font is the way the letters look on your paper. The next one is font size. That's how big or small it is. The next one is bold, which kind of makes your font darker. Italic, which makes your font slanted. Underline, which puts an underline. Text color changes the color of your font. And highlight. So this would add a literal highlight to your sentences or words, just like you're using a highlighter on the paper. The next group of buttons have to do with some other things, not fonts. So this would be to insert a link to a website, and this is to insert an image, the button to insert an image. And the next group have to sort of do with spacing on the paper. So this button is called the Align button, and this is how you make your words on your paper be on the left, in the center, or on the right. Those are the three we use the most, and I'm going to demo what that looks like. The next button is the line spacing button, and that is helpful when you're writing paragraphs. Sometimes your teacher might ask you to space out your paragraph so that it's not so squished together. And the next two buttons are important also. They are the numbered list button and the bulleted list button. So first I am just going to start off by typing my name right here where the cursor is, and I'm going to press return or enter, and I'm going to type today's date. When I type on a Google Doc, the default font and font size that it types in is Arial 11. So in order to change that font, I'm going to click and drag, which is called highlighting. And I am going to click on the arrow next to the font name, and I see a whole list of fonts here in my list that I can change it to. So I'm going to just click and it changes the font to this one, Comforta. And then I am also, while it is still highlighted, going to change the size from 11 to 14 just to show you what the size looks like. I want to tell you one thing about the fonts. When you click on the font choices in Google Docs, you can click on more fonts and add fonts to your own font menu. So this particular user has a pretty short menu. When you click more fonts, you can see that there are lots of options that can be added to your font menu. All you do is click on them and then click OK. And then the fonts get added to your font menu. While the font is highlighted, I am going to show you how these ones work. So the bold makes the font a little bolder. I'm going to click it again to unbold it. I'm going to click the I for italics to show you that it sort of slants the font. And then I'm going to unitalicize it. And then last but not least, I'm going to underline it to show you what that looks like. So I'm going to click again to underline it. I'm going to highlight just my name here and show you how the font color works, or the text color, same thing. So I'm going to click on that button and choose a color, any color, and it changes my font to that color. If I made a mistake or I want to change it to another color, I just highlight again and change it again. And then last in this little section, I'm going to show you that when you click on this highlighter and you choose a highlight color, it works just like the highlighter that you use, the highlighter marker on paper. I am going to click it and choose none because I do not want that highlighter color on my document. I am going to put this back on black, and then I'm going to jump over to the rest of these font buttons, and then I'll talk about these buttons here. So I am going to press return again and just pretend I'm adding a title to my paper. And I'm going to highlight this title, and my teacher wants it in the center. So that's when I would use the align button, and I'm going to click center. And then if my teacher wants my title a little bigger than everything else, I'm going to go up while it's highlighted to the font size and change it to be a little bigger. I'm then going to press return again and make sure that my alignment is back on the left by clicking this button, the left align button. I'm going to make sure that I change my size back down to 14 so I can start typing my paragraph here. And I am going to remind everybody that if your teacher is asking you to type a paragraph, they might ask you to indent. And so the way you indent is by using the tab button on your keyboard. That makes a perfect indent. When you are typing your paragraphs and sentences, the text automatically wraps, which means it goes to the next line for you, so you don't have to press return when it gets to the end of the line. So after you type your sentence or sentences or paragraph for your teacher, they might ask you to space it a little bit. And what that means is when you highlight your paragraph, next to the alignment button, you have this line spacing button. The line spacing button has several options. The ones we use the most are right here at the top. So single spaced means that the words are pretty close to each other, or the lines are pretty close to each other. 1.15 gives it a little more space. 1.5 or 1.5 gives it a little more space, and double or 2 gives it even more space. So your teacher might be asking you at some point to make it 1.5 or double space, and that is how you do it. If you have to go back and single space it or 1.15 space it, you just click again, do it again. Next, I'm going to show you how to use the bullets and the numbers. So we are going to make a list of colors here, and I'm going to just type some colors. And then I am going to highlight that list by clicking and dragging. And I'm going to show you when I click on the numbers, I get the numbered list. If I don't want the numbers, I just click again, they go away. And then if I click on the bullets, it makes a bulleted list. You can see the little dots. Those are called bullets. If And under either of these choices, there are other options. So under the bulleted list, you can see there's different kinds of bullets here that you can change your list to. If you have some other list underneath and you want like a subtopic, you can indent and then you get an even different bullet there. So all I did was I clicked at the end of my color or the item in my list and I just tap the indent button and I get a different button there. I am going to unclick the bullets and show you what that looks like when you do the numbered list. So when you have the numbered list, a subtopic under 1 is A. And then if I had something there, it would be and B. Do you see how it says the B? And so forth. When I have my numbered list highlighted, I also have an arrow next to the numbered list where I have other options. So there are other kinds of numbered lists, not just numbers, but there are lettered lists as well. And these are Roman numeral lists, and these are different kinds of numbered lists with sort of different symbols next to them. Okay, so that is how we use the lists, bullets, and numbering. And then last but not least, I am going to show everyone how to use the insert link button and the insert image button. So if I have a link to a website, I can type the words, go to my website on a new page, and highlight the website up here in the URL bar, copy that website, highlight my word that I want to make a link, click Insert Link, paste the link there, and click Apply. And now if my teacher has asked me to show them what website I'm talking about, I can just link it right in my Google Doc. I'm going to delete this one and show you how to do the image. So when you click Insert Image, you have a lot of options. The one we use the most is Search the Web. If you have images in your drive, you would use Drive. If your teacher asks you to take a picture using the camera on your device, you could also insert an image that way. The one we use very often is the Search the Web. So I'm going to click that, and you get the search box over here on the right. You can type your search, press Return or Enter, find an image that you like by clicking on it, and then click Insert, and the image goes right into your Google Doc here. Once you have it on your document, you can click it, use the corners to make it bigger or smaller, most likely smaller. You always use the corners when you're working with images, so the height and the width move at the same time. You don't want the image to be too tall or narrow. And then these buttons down here tell Google Docs how they want your image to work with the text that you have on it. So inline means that your text will be above and below. Wrap text means that if you chose this and you moved your image sort of up here, your text would get wrapped around the image. I'm going to use the undo button to show you the other one. And then break text means very similar to this one as inline. It means the text will go above and below. When you have this one, the wrap with text, you also have these other options, move with text or fix position on a page. I don't use these too much because text and images don't always work so great together. So if you're doing an image on a Google Doc, it's sometimes better to just keep it as wrap with text and then, or inline actually, and then you can just center it on the page like that using the same buttons you use to center your text. One more thing I wanted to show you was the formatting of the paper or the document. So when we start a new Google Doc, you might notice that there are some spaces around the edging of the paper, and those are called margins. The way that that is changed or adjusted is in the File menu. So when you click on the File menu and choose Page Setup, you will see some options in here. So first of all, the paper is in portrait orientation, which is like a regular piece of paper, vertical, and the other option is landscape, which would turn the paper horizontal. Most times you're probably going to be working in portrait. And then the margins you can see are set to 1 inch on the top, bottom, left, and right. Sometimes your teacher might ask you to adjust those margins depending on what you're doing. I just wanted to show you where that was. I'm going to keep it all set up this way. And last on this paper is the page color. So sometime your teacher might ask you if you want to change the page color. That will change the whole background. And that would be something you would do if you were just turning it in, not printing it out. All right, that was my introduction to Google Docs. I hope that you found that helpful. Let us know if you have any questions.